DPS TeleClass.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to DPS TeleClass. How are you all? Alhamdulillah, I am fine. I hope you all are doing great. I am Anthomis. I am here to take a new English lesson. Before beginning the lesson, let's recite the dua.
قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي.
This lesson I am going to talk about sequence of a story. Do you think sequencing is important? Yes, it is, because it helps to identify the components of a story or an event. The beginning, middle, and the end. Also, it helps us to retell a story. Now, I'm going to share today's learning intention and success criteria. Today, we are learning to identify the beginning, middle, and the end of a story. Today's success criteria is I will be a star if I retell a story after listening the story by arranging the pictures. Now I'm going to show some pictures on the screen. Just look at them carefully. I will give 15 seconds to see the pictures. Later I will ask you to arrange the pictures with the same order. Are we ready, students? Okay, your time starts now. Class, do you remember the pictures with the same order? Yes? Can you tell me what's on the picture first? A pencil. Second picture, a toy duck. Third picture, an apple. What's on the fourth picture? A butterfly. Fifth, a teddy bear. Good. Now tell me what's on the sixth picture. A school bag. Very good. Seventh, an avocado. So, can you tell me what's next? A tree. Okay, then a beautiful rose. Very good. And the last? A sailboat. Great, you have arranged the pictures perfectly. First, I will explain elements of a story. In this lesson, you will be learning 6 elements of a story. The first element is setting. The setting describes where and when the story takes place. To explain the elements of a story, I have selected the story The Lion and the Mouse. First, I will explain the setting of a story. I know you all know the story of the lion and the mouse, right? Do you remember where the lion was trapped on the net? Yes, the lion was trapped on the net in the jungle. Characters. These are people, animals involved in the story. Now tell me animals and peoples involved in the story The Lion and the Mouse. Yes, the lion the mouse, and the farmer. Events. These are the series or sequence of events, beginning, middle, and end. In the first part of the story, a lion caught a mouse and then the mouse pleased him to let him go. In the middle of the story, the lion released the mouse. At the end of the story, the mouse helped the lion to get out of the trap. Moral or theme. The moral or theme is the idea that runs through the story. It often teaches a lesson. The moral of the story is little friend also can do a great help. It doesn't matter how big or how small you are, you can still help others. Problem. The problem is the situation that the characters are facing in the story. In the story, the lion and the mouse, what happened was the lion got trapped on the net. That was the problem in the story, the lion and the mouse. Solution. The solution is how the characters solve their problem. The problem was the lion got trapped on the net and the little mouse helped him to get out of the trap is the solution.
Story time. Today I am going to read a good moral story for you. The story is The Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Little Red Riding Hood. She lived with her mother in a village near a forest. One day, Little Red Riding Hood went to visit her grandmother. She took a basket of food with her. On her way, Little Red Riding Hood met a wolf. "Hello," said the wolf. "Where are you going?" "I am going to visit my grandmother, who lives in the forest," explained Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf ran to grandmother's house. He went inside, put on a nightgown and got into her bed. A little later, Little Red Riding Hood came to the house. She knocked on the door, then went inside. Little Red Riding Hood went over to grandmother's bed. "Oh, Granny, what big ears you have," she said. "All the better to hear you with," answered the wolf. "Oh, Granny, what big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to eat you with," said the wolf. "Help!" shouted Little Red Riding Hood, as she realized that there was a wolf in her grandmother's bed. She ran out of the house. A woodcutter was nearby. He heard Little Red Riding Hood scream and ran to the house. A woodcutter hit the wolf over the head. The wolf ran away. and Little Red Riding Hood never saw him again.
Do you like the story? Yes? Now I am going to explain the elements of a story from the story I have read, The Little Red Riding Hood. Setting. First, the Little Red Riding Hood met the wolf in the forest on her way to her granny's house and then grandmother's house, right? So, the setting of this story is grandma's house and the forest. Characters. Who are the characters involved in the story The Little Red Riding Hood? Grandmother, Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf, and the woodcutter. Now I'm going to tell the events of the story. What happened in the beginning of the story was the Little Red Riding Hood went to visit her grandmother. In the middle, she met the wolf who wants to eat her and her grandmother. And the end, the woodcutter killed the wolf and Red Riding Hood lived happily ever after. Theme or moral of the story. The moral of this story is you must not trust strangers. Stranger is someone you don't know who doesn't belong in a specific place. It means someone does not belong your family, friends, or your community. Problem of the story. The wolf pretends to be a grandmother. Solution. The woodcutter hit the wolf over the head. The wolf ran away. Activity time. In this activity, you have to identify the beginning, middle, and the end of the story. You have to arrange by its number. I have given a number in each picture. So you have to tell me which picture shows the beginning, middle, and the end. Okay, students? Okay, which number shows the beginning of the story? Picture 3. And the middle? Picture 2. And the picture 1 shows the end of the story. Good job, students. This time just put a number with a sequence and make your own story. Well done, students. Today's last activity. I will read a story about the life of an apple. If you focus the pictures and listen to me with all your ears, I am sure it will be very easy for you. Shall I start reading the story? Life of an apple. I plant a little apple seed in the rich soil. The sunshine and the rich rain falls. After 3 years, a strong sapling grows straight and tall. Bumblebees visit the blossoms. The apple grows on the tree. I picked an apple from the tree. I take a bite of the crisp, red apple. It's yummy. What is this? I saw a seed inside the cow. So, students, now you can arrange the pictures by telling the numbers. 3, 7, 5, 1, 6, 4, 8, 2. Good job, students. Before we bring back what we learned today, I want to remind you how you will be a star in today's lesson. You will be a star if you listen the story Thirsty Crow and arrange the pictures by its letters. Now it's time to look back what we learned today. We learned elements of a story: setting, theme, characters, events, problems, and solutions. And also we learn to identify the beginning, middle, and the end of a story. Also we learn that a story goes in a sequence or in order to make sense. It's time for task of the day. I will read a story, The Thirsty Crow. You have to listen to me carefully. I will read the story twice. After listening the story, you have to arrange the pictures by given letters in each picture. Do this work in your notebook. Remember that students, you don't have to draw the pictures. Just write the given letters when you are arranging the story. Okay, students? Shall I start reading the story? Okay. The Thirsty Crow. There was a crow which was very thirsty. He searched for water everywhere. At last he saw a water pot near a well. He looked inside the pot. There was a very little water in the pot. The crow saw some stones nearby. He thought of a plan. He picked up some stones. He put them one by one into the pot. The water level in the pot came up. The crow drank the water and flew happily. Now I'm going to read the story again. Thirsty Crow. There was a crow which was very thirsty. He searched for water everywhere. At last he saw a water pot near a well. He looked inside the pot. There was a very little water in the pot. The crow saw some stones nearby. He thought of a plan. He picked up some stones. He put them one by one into the pot. The water level in the pot came up. The crow drank the water and flew away happily. This is your second part of your task. In the first part, you have to arrange the pictures by its given letters. To do this one, you have to identify the elements of a story from the story The Thirsty Crow. Setting. You have to write when and where the story takes place. Characters. Who are the characters involved in the story? Theme. The lesson you learn from the story. Problem. What's the problem in the story? Solution. And how the characters solve the problem. Events. You have to write what happened in the story at the beginning, middle, and the end of the story. This is an example of how you are going to do your today's task, part 2. I have selected the story Little Red Riding Hood. Setting was forest, grandmother's house. Characters. So the characters involved in the Little Red Riding Hood was grandmother, wolf, Red Riding Hood, and woodcutter. We learned the lesson was never trust strangers. Problem was the wolf pretends to be a grandmother. and the solution was the woodcutter chased the wolf away. Task of the day. Listen the story Thirsty Crow carefully. Retell the story by arranging the pictures. Do this work in your notebook. Do remember to write the date and do your work nicely. Take a bright picture and send it to your class teacher through Viber. I hope you had a great time with me. Thank you, students. Stay safe, stay home.
DPS TeleClass